You have never once thought about the black and white stripes that just told your phone how much to charge you. You tapped your card, the beep happened, you walked out with your groceries. Nobody explained those lines. Nobody had to. They have been silently deciding what you buy, what stores stock, what gets made, and what disappears from shelves for over 50 years. And the story of how they got there. It started with a man sitting on a beach, drawing in the sand. His name was Norman Joseph Woodland. The year was 1948. He was a graduate student at Drexel Institute of Technology in Philadelphia, and his friend Bernard Silver had just overheard a conversation that would eventually reshape the entire retail world. A local grocery store executive had approached the dean of the engineering school with a simple plea. Is there any way to automatically read product information at a checkout counter? The dean said no. The problem was not worth pursuing. Silver thought otherwise. He brought the idea to Woodland. The two men started brainstorming. Woodland knew the problem was really about encoding information in a way a machine could read, and he already had a language in his head that could do exactly that. Morse code. Woodland had learned it as a Boy Scout. He understood that you could represent any letter or number with a pattern of dots and dashes. The question was how to translate that pattern into something a machine could scan. The answer came to him while he was sitting on Miami Beach in 1949. He was running his fingers through the sand, and he thought, what if instead of dots and dashes, you used lines of different widths? What if the information was vertical instead of horizontal? He drew 4 lines into the wet sand. That moment on that beach was the birth of the barcode. But the barcode was not ready yet, not even close. Woodland and Silver spent the next 3 years refining their idea. They built an oversized prototype that used a 500-watt incandescent bulb as the light source and an oscilloscope, a device that displays electrical signals as waves on a screen to read the reflected light off the bars. In 1952, they were granted U.S. Patent 2,612,994. The patent described a bullseye pattern. Circles within circles, not the straight lines you see today. Here was the problem. The technology to read that pattern simply did not exist yet in a practical, affordable form. The scanning equipment was enormous. It was expensive. And the computers of the 1950s could barely handle basic arithmetic, let alone decode a pattern of reflected light in real time at a grocery store checkout. So the patent sat, and it sat. For over 2 decades, the barcode was an invention waiting for the world to catch up. It was not until the late 1960s that the grocery industry finally started paying attention. And the push did not come from inventors. It came from panic. American supermarkets were booming. There were over 36,000 grocery stores in the United States. Each one carried thousands of products. And every single item had to have its price manually stamped on it. Cashiers had to key in every price by hand. Errors were constant. Inventory tracking was a nightmare. Labor costs were climbing. The industry was drowning in its own success. 1969, the Grocery Manufacturers Association, one of the most powerful trade groups in the American food industry, commissioned a study. They brought in McKinsey & Company, one of the world's largest management consulting firms, to figure out what automation could do for grocery stores. McKinsey recommended a universal product code, a standardized marking system that every manufacturer and every retailer would use. The recommendation was clear. The solution was not. So the industry formed a committee, the Ad Hoc Committee for a Uniform Grocery Product Code. Its chairman was Alan Haberman, an executive from a New England grocery chain called First National Stores. The committee included representatives from major grocery companies like Kroger, Safeway, and A&P. Their job was to choose a symbol, one symbol that would go on every product in every store in the country. By 1971, the committee had received 21 competing proposals. One came from RCA, which was pushing an updated version of Woodland and Silver's original bullseye design. Another came from IBM. And at IBM, the engineer working on the barcode was George Laurer, a man who had been handed the problem almost as an afterthought. Laurer did not know about Woodland's beach drawing. He did not know about the 1952 patent. He simply took the requirements from the committee and built a system from scratch. Laura's design was linear, horizontal bars of varying widths. It was compact, it was reliable, and crucially it was easier to print than a bullseye because the lines could be oriented in any direction across a product label and still be read. His colleague at IBM, Norman Woodland himself, now a senior engineer at the company, helped refine the encoding scheme. But it was Laurer who designed the visual structure of what became the Universal Product Code, the UPC. On April 3, 1973, the committee voted. They chose the IBM linear design over the RCA bull's-eye. It was one of the most consequential decisions in the history of retail, and almost nobody outside the industry noticed. Now they had to actually build it. Every product in America needed a code, every store needed a scanner, and someone had to go first. The first store to install a barcode scanner was a Marsh supermarket in Troy, Ohio. The first scanner was manufactured by NCR, National Cash Register, and installed at Checkout Counter 1 on June 26, 1974. The first product ever scanned was a 10-pack of Wrigley's Juicy Fruit Chewing Gum. The cashier was Sharon Buchanan. The customer was Clyde Dawson, Marsh's head of research. He picked the gum because he wanted to prove the system could read a small, inexpensive item. The price was 67 cents. That single beep changed everything. But adoption was painfully slow. Manufacturers did not want to pay to print barcodes on their packaging. Retailers did not want to pay for scanners. By 1976, Business Week magazine ran a cover story calling the barcode a failure. Only 50 stores in the entire country had scanners. The whole thing looked like it was going to collapse. What saved it was not a better barcode. It was a better reason to use one. Grocery chains that installed scanners discovered something unexpected. The scanners did not just speed up checkout. They generated data. Real-time, store-level, product-level data. For the first time in history, a store manager could see exactly what was selling, what was not, and how fast inventory was moving. Chain executives could compare performance across hundreds of locations. Warehouses could be restocked automatically. The barcode was not just a checkout tool. It was a window into the entire supply chain. By 1980, one-third of all grocery stores in the United States had barcode scanners. By 1984, it was two-thirds. By the early 1990s, it was nearly universal, and the system kept expanding. Barcodes moved beyond grocery stores. They appeared on books through the ISBN system, on mail when the U.S. Postal Service adopted them, on hospital wristbands, on airline boarding passes, on shipping containers crossing oceans. By the 21st century, barcodes were being scanned an estimated 6 billion times a day worldwide. The Wrigley Company understood the significance of what had happened. In 2017, the Smithsonian's National Museum of American History acquired the original pack of Juicy Fruit Gum. It is now on permanent display. Not because it was special gum, but because it was the first product that a machine understood without a human having to say a word. Norman Woodland lived to see it. He died in 2012 at the age of 91. He had watched his beach doodle become the backbone of global commerce. Bernard Silver did not get to see any of it. He died in 1962 at 38 years old, more than a decade before the first beep at that Marsh supermarket in Ohio. George Laurer, the IBM engineer who actually designed the UPC symbol that billions of items carry today, received far less public recognition than Woodland. He was not inducted into the National Inventors Hall of Fame until 1991. He died in 2019. And here is what most people still get wrong about the barcode. They think it was invented for checkout speed. It was not. The original pitch to the grocery industry back in 1948 was about inventory control. It took 26 years, 21 competing proposals, 2 dead inventors, 1 critical committee vote, and a pack of gum to prove that a pattern of black and white lines could do something no human cashier could. It could see everything, every product, every sale, every empty shelf, every supply chain delay, all at once. All in real time. You have never once thought about the black and white stripes that built the entire system you now call shopping. But every time you hear that beep, a machine somewhere is reading more than a price. It is reading the shape of the economy itself.